when you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality. Who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Hi, I'm John Malos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Monday morning. It's on the air, off the presses. Today we'll be talking to the man who runs Coca-Cola Broadcasting. Your phone call's important. 436 MeTV option 11. Don't wade through the message on this Monday morning. Back in just a moment.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
And welcome back to the broadcast. Hope you had a great weekend, and it was a beautiful weekend weather-wise, and going to be the rest of this week too. A little rain maybe ahead, but we'll wait and see on that. Today it's on the air, off the presses. And the big question of the day, which is the biggest television broadcaster, the single biggest television broadcaster right here in the Central Valley? Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, you know, it could be Channel 30, maybe 24, maybe 26, maybe 47. Wrong. Wrong on all accounts. The answer, my friends, is Coca-Cola Broadcasting. Been around for 22 years now. In fact, this program, Connect with Me, is broadcast each and every day live in the morning, of course, at 10:30 on Coca-Cola Broadcasting 43.6 and Comcast Channel 187. We'll go to the videotape, tell you a little bit about Gary Coca-Cola. He is the sole owner of Coca-Cola Broadcasting. There he is way back in the day, his 28th year in broadcasting. He's a veteran. Now keep in mind, broadcasting means over the air. As of now, he owns 30 stations across the region with a total of 60 channels that stream. Some of those channels are full power, others are low power. Some are located in Fresno, Bakersfield, Sacramento, Monterey, Santa Maria, San Luis Obispo, and Chico, and Redding, and also Idaho. And the man who runs the show, he is live in our studio right now. He runs the entire enchilada. His name is Kevin Mosesian. He is the corporate stations manager. He oversees the entire operation. He'll take your phone calls here to talk about Coca-Cola Broadcasting, the future of Coca-Cola Broadcasting, the future of this program, perhaps that you're watching right now on Comcast Channel 187 and 43.6 with an antenna. And well, we'll just talk about future plans, what Mr. Coca-Cola has in mind for Coca-Cola Broadcasting, which has been around now for a long time, the better part of 22 years, since 1991. 436 MeTV option 11. Don't wade through the message. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, do turn down the sound if you happen to call in. Back with our guest in a moment.
Remember me?
After practicing law, Raymond Berg fought crime.
You have the right to an attorney.
As a hard-boiled detective on wheels,
Ain't it the truth?
his name is Ironside.
Perhaps you wouldn't mind saying it again.
His name is Ironside.
All right, now you've said it.
Nothing slows him down.
I want to see this one firsthand.
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Well, what are we waiting for?
You know, I got to say this, if it wasn't for Coca-Cola Broadcasting, Gary Coca-Cola, this program that you're watching right now would not even be on the air. Am I right about that, Kevin?
That is very true.
Welcome to the program. Good to see you.
Thank you, John.
He's
Thanks for having
responsible.
me.
Yeah, no problem. It's our pleasure to have you here. Thanks for taking the time. And I guess Gary's responsible for a lot of changes that have taken place in the Central Valley. Is that right?
That is very true. Very true, yes.
Yeah, he's a very experienced guy. He loves the broadcasting industry. In fact, the first show that we did, before I get into that, I just want to explain that this program seen on Coca-Cola Broadcasting on 43.6
Right.
and Comcast Channel 187,
Right.
through Mark Sheeran and Ventura TV. There's a business deal contract that goes on there.
That is correct.
And so when Gary broached the idea to Mark initially, this is, you know, it really was a kind of a landmark decision, was it not?
Very true, yes. Yeah. And the deal was structured to where it was the first of its kind in the U.S. in regards to a local business owner that's a retailer to take over a network and have all of the avails to where he could promote his business and have a live show such as this. None of its kind done in the U.S. So the deal that Gary and Mark did is quite
unique.
Quite unique, yes.
Gary and Mark were the first guests here, and I want to roll the videotape, and he'll talk about himself a little bit.
All right.
We've got some very interesting video of you. I almost fell out of my seat when I saw it, but it's actually showing you with dark hair.
It was
hosting
45 years ago at Channel 12, before Channel 30 came on the scene. Channel 12 changed to Channel 30 in the 60s, 1962, I think the year was. We actually had a dance party with Al Radke back in those days. And that's how I really got my foot in the door, so to speak, many years ago, on camera, doing the dance party show. I was a host. It was kind of like a Dick Clark's American Bandstand, but locally for Fresno.
He kind of looked like Dick Clark back then, didn't he? A little bit?
Yes,
yeah,
he did. Yeah. My mom was on that show as well. She used to be on the record hop with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you are the corporate stations manager. How many stations altogether? 30?
There are 30 over-the-air stations with a total of about 61 total over-the-air signals. So you know you have your sub-channels per each station now.
Okay. Okay. And what is your job as the corporate stations manager? What do you do day in and day out?
That's a really good question. I wear a lot of hats. We have basically a small cable network with that many channels. So I have a great staff of about 15 employees. They all love their jobs, so I have heard, and they're great to work with day in and day out. My duties are leasing channels in regards to making sure that all of our current lessees are, I get them on the air. I structure the deals with them. I make sure that everything is running smoothly for master control, handle any issues that come up as far as technical. Since we have so many outside markets, there's always something going wrong each day. So I handle making sure the engineers are in place in each city to solve that problem, as well as making sure the sales come in to keep everything afloat. Last few years have been very difficult in the broadcast industry. So I take care of keep an eye on general sales in regards to local. We focus a lot of our local on Azteca and Mundo on the Spanish side. Mundo Fox is our newest network that was just launched back in August. Other day-to-day roles are, as I said, sales and structuring the deals. When Gary has a network that he likes and wants to bring on, I handle making sure those networks get on our air. Where we're going to put them, which markets. Some of our newest networks that we've just brought on is the Zeus Country and Zeus Latino, which are music videos that are run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That was launched on KMSG channel 39.3 and 39.4. Those are seen over the air.
Right.
So.
So you troubleshoot, but also you mentioned leasing.
Yes.
Now, what do you mean by that, and how does that work?
Sure, that's a good question. We have several networks right now. Mong TV. There's 2 Mong networks that are on, 32.6 and channel 4.5, as well as I have about 4 local Spanish pastors that are on. They lease from us. What that involves,
how does that process work?
Sure, that's a good question. What that involves is basically instead of somebody going out and buying a TV station, they can now have their own sub-channel whether it's 43.4, 5, or 6, or 39.
A sub-channel meaning a channel that is kind of an offshoot of the main channel.
That is correct. It's broadcasted over the air only,
Okay.
not on cable or satellite.
Okay.
However, we have been able to put some of our sub-channels on Comcast cable.
Okay.
They become their own. You have a caller?
Yeah, that's all right. We'll pick up this conversation. Good morning. You're on with Kevin. What's your question? Okay. Sorry, we got too much feedback. If you want to call in, 436 option 11, remember, you've got to turn that sound down on your TV set. So a sub-channel, let's say the main channel is 43.1.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. And
the sub-channels after that would be 43.2, 3, 4, 5. So you lease those channels to who and say for a certain price, right?
correct, yes. There are multiple people that want to become broadcasters but don't really know what it takes in order to create the content like what we're doing today. But there are a lot of companies out there that already have programming, or they have the idea of creating their own programming and going out and selling it, which is exactly what the two Hmong networks do in town.
So they buy the time.
Yes, they lease the time 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay, and so they lease the time for, they have to do it for 24/7?
Correct, yeah.
So they
do.
lease it for 24/7?
Yes.
So they lease it for a monthly fee, right?
Monthly fee, the contract is set up for 1 year. It's a 1 year
Okay.
non-cancelable contract.
And they can go out and get the sponsors and put whatever programming they choose.
That is correct. Yeah, they create their own content as long as they follow the FCC guidelines. They are a broadcaster.
So how many of those channels does Gary lease out?
Right now, we have approximately 12 channels of the 60 that are completely leased out in
All right.
several markets.
And there are several, too, in the Coca-Cola chain that are up for leasing, right? I mean,
That is correct,
They're on the
yes.
market if you want to lease them.
That is correct.
All
If you
right.
do want to lease, give me a call at 435-7000, and I can lease you a channel.
All right. Another caller calling in. I hope you got your sound turned down. What's your question?
Yeah, when you say 36, is it up for more?
Okay, it sounds like you're sitting on your phone there. Okay, we'll have to.
Stations calling them up, telling them that.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll have to cancel that one too.
Yeah.
Okay, sounded like he was pushing a lot of buttons
Yeah,
there.
that
We've
was
got to take a
interesting.
quick time out talking to
All
Kevin
right.
Mosesian, and we're talking about Coca-Cola Broadcasting. Been around for 22 years now. You're watching us via Coca-Cola Broadcasting on 43.6 or Comcast Channel 187. Remember, if you call in, you have to turn down the sound on your TV set, and please try not to sit on your phone. Back in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Back here on the air, off the presses, talking about Coca-Cola Broadcasting on this day, and let's talk a little bit about how you started in broadcasting.
I started, well, as some may or may not know, Gary is my uncle, my mother's brother, and he started his first station in 1985. That was KMSG Channel 59. I started, at that time, I was 11 years old. And when he was building Master Control, I was in there pushing buttons and switching videos and answering phones, believe it or not. I had this little young-sounding voice and sounded like a girl
Okay.
at age 11, of
All right.
course. But I would take the calls and answer viewers' questions. Of course, after that, went to school, and at the age of 23, which was 1993, I came back and started doing local sales. Just selling to local businesses, commercial airtime. Then moved into national sales, selling infomercial time and dealing with agencies across the U.S. At that time, Did that for quite some time, actually. And then in 2008 is when I took over day-to-day operations of corporate stations manager. So almost a little over 20 years now.
Okay, we'll see if this phone call works here. Good. Whoops. Nope. Off the air. Okay. We did have a phone call. Call in 436 MeTV option 11. But remember, turn down the sound on your TV set. And do not sit on your telephone. Do not push buttons while you're talking because we won't be able to hear you. 436 MeTV option 11. We do have a call. Good morning. You're on with Kevin. Your question, please.
Yeah. Good morning, John. Good morning, Kevin. Kevin.
Good morning.
Just a couple questions.
Sure.
Does Gary Kokola have is in charge of all the stations on antenna television? That's the first question. And if he is or if he isn't, can you get all his TVs, all his stations through one antenna, or do I need two antennas back to back? I'm thinking about getting another antenna so I could pick up some other stations that I have a hard time getting.
Right.
And so that's kind of my dilemma.
All right.
To call it that. Okay. Thank you, Kevin. And
Thank you for the
John.
call. Appreciate
You're welcome. Thank you. To answer your first question, Gary owns approximately 12 stations here in the Fresno market that are over the air. And then with those 12 stations, there are several sub-channels. So we have about 30 total channels just in the Fresno market that are all owned by Gary.
Approximately how many of those channels now are being offered for lease that are open right now?
Right now we have 2 spots open.
Just two out of the 30?
Correct, but
wow,
we are able to build more. Okay. There are some analog channels that have not been converted to digital yet. So we still have the potential.
Those will take place.
Correct. Yes.
At some point.
They must be done by 2015. So we essentially build as we need.
So I said in the monologue that Kokola Broadcasting is the largest local broadcaster in the Central Valley. Explain exactly what that means, because when you say broadcaster, everybody thinks, well, Channel 30's got to be the biggest, or 26 has got to be the biggest, but not true because.
Because we're talking about spectrum here. Kokola Broadcasting and Gary owns the largest amount of spectrum, meaning the frequencies that each one of these channels broadcast on is spectrum. Channel 30, Channel 47, Channel 26 are all one single channel, and they all get 19 megahertz of spectrum. But with the amount of stations that Kokola Broadcasting owns, that makes us the largest broadcaster in the Fresno Valley.
All right, and he's local. He's a local guy.
Local,
with stations,
born and raised.
Yeah, but he has stations all over. Here, Bakersfield, Sacramento,
Correct.
Santa Maria, right?
Correct, Santa Maria, Chico, Redding,
Idaho,
Monterey,
okay,
where Gary resides, and Boise, Idaho. Yes, we have 1 full power and 6 low powers.
And so there are only 2 local owners left in the Fresno area. It would be Gary Kokola, and who's the other? Kale?
K-A-I-L, yes.
Okay.
That is correct. Yep,
all right.
That was the last 2.
All right. Good morning. You're on with Kevin Mosesian, and your question.
Yeah, okay, my question is, I'm watching it now, 43.6. But 43.6 only comes in part of the time, other parts, times of the day or night, it doesn't come in. So if say I have my, I have my broadcasting station 43.6, but it only comes in part of the time. Well, what about, it's 24/7. What about the rest of the time when I'm not getting the station, So yeah. How is that helping, all the time that I'm not getting the station on my TV?
Why aren't you getting the station? That's the question.
So, yeah, here's the problem. He obviously has an antenna,
okay,
not a Comcast viewer, which is great. Almost 30% of the market are over-the-air viewers only.
30%?
About 30%,
and that's
correct.
growing rapidly.
It is, yes.
A lot of people are cutting the cord.
That is correct. Mm-hmm. To answer his question, he more than likely has an inside antenna. And the best way to get reception of all the local stations is with an outside antenna.
A new outside digital antenna, which
Correct.
a lot of people are going to.
Correct, yes. And Ventura TV sells them. Ventura TV installs them. I would suggest giving them a call and having one installed. Okay. Perhaps if he does have an outside antenna, it's not tuned correctly. It's just, there's
Where's
two
it got to be
mountaintops.
facing?
There's 2 mountaintops. One's at Bear Mountain, which is east of Sanger, and the other one is in Auberry, which is up
So the
by
antenna's got to be facing east.
Correct.
All right, another call. Good morning, you're on with Kevin. What's your question?
Hi. What is a customer's leeway as far as what can be broadcast on a channel? Let's say they rent, and how do they prevent somebody from getting something out there that's really not supposed to be out there?
Very good question. Usually if somebody's going to invest, and this is basically a new business for them, they're going to be a startup company, they're not going to just put out any type of programming that's going to hurt themselves or us. So that really hasn't been an issue. This isn't just for somebody that just can sign up day one and launch a network the next day. This is something that, as I said, people invest their time in. And
it's a long-term thing.
It is,
Once
yeah.
you get in, you probably, but to stay in, you've got to sell.
Got to sell. You got to have a local staff. You have to have good content, good programming.
You've got to sell. You've got to have money coming in.
Of course.
Or you'll be out.
That is correct.
Because you got to pay the bill.
That is correct.
Somebody's got to pay the bill, right? Somebody has to pay the piper. There's no question about it. Quickly, before we go to break, I know we're running long in this segment.
Yeah.
Gary has, I mentioned in the monologue, also has many full power stations and low power stations.
Sure.
Can you explain in 30 seconds what that means?
Yes. So he owns 2 full power and then many low power. The difference between a full power and a low power is obviously the amount of power that the transmitter is putting out. And
how strong that signal is coming into your home?
Correct. And the FCC allocates a certain amount of full powers and a certain amount of low powers.
But does it
per
make
market.
any difference to the viewer at home?
Quite honestly, no. Now that everything is digital and you either get the picture or you don't, they can't tell if it's a full power or low power.
Isn't that all what they care about at home?
Exactly.
Do I get a picture and sound?
Exactly.
Or don't I?
Right. It's not like the old days where it's snowy and you had to move the antenna.
So low power and full power maybe only means something to the broadcaster himself.
Correct. Yeah. And there's FCC rules that go with full power. A full power .1 must be carried on cable, satellite, everything. Low powers have no.
Another caller before we go to break. Good morning. You're on with Kevin. Your question quickly. Hello?
Yes. My question for Kevin is how many Spanish-speaking stations is there in comparison to English-speaking?
Oh, that's a great question.
Stations?
Good question. Currently, out of the last time I counted, there are about 65 total over-the-air signals in the Fresno market.
How many does Coca-Cola have?
30 of those.
No, the Spanish.
Oh, I'm sorry, the Spanish, yeah. So right now we have Mundo Fox, we have Azteca America, we have Mega TV, we have Euronews, and Zeus Latino. Those are the 5 major networks that we have, and then the ones that we lease out, those are also some Spanish. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 others. So there are 9.
9 out of the 30 are Hispanic.
30, right? That's
and probably growing.
And that's correct. And that's not counting the Telemundo, the Univision, and all the other networks out there as well.
We're talking with Kevin Mosesian. He is the operations manager for Coca-Cola Broadcasting. He runs the whole enchilada. And you thought Gary Coca-Cola did it. He just sits back and watches Kevin do it. But he's worked hard the last 20 or 30 or 40 years to earn that right. We're talking Coca-Cola Broadcasting today, 436 MeTV option 11. Quickly running out of time, a lot to talk about, and we're going to be back in just a moment.
1 Adam 12.
This is Adam 12. It stars Martin Milner as Officer Pete Malloy, Kent McCord as Officer Jim Reed.
1 Adam 12, roger.
This black and white patrol car has an overhead valve V8 engine. It develops 325 horsepower at 4,800 RPMs. It accelerates from 0 to 60 in 7 seconds. It has a top speed of 120 miles an hour. The automobile has 2 shotgun racks, one attached to the bottom portion of the front seat, one in the vehicle trunk.
You want me to drive?
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
And we're back here live on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Monday morning, on the air, off the presses. We got a call coming in for Kevin, and your question quickly. We're running out of time.
Yeah, I'm an avid watcher of MeTV. I have spoke to Ara on several occasions. He knows me.
I'm sorry to hear that. Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe Mr. Mosesian can. I'm upset with some of the programming changes they made, and consequently, they have lost me at certain times.
All right. This has got to be quick, though.
So,
go ahead.
I think he's asking network questions.
Yeah, okay.
Unfortunately, we do not control what the network puts out. We have no say in it.
Right, because it's like Channel 24 has no say as to what NBC does.
No, not at all.
Channel 30 has no say as to what the network ABC does in New York.
That is
It's the
correct.
same thing here.
That is correct. We are simply the affiliate. We pick up the network programming, and it's tough to please everybody. You just can't do it.
If MeTV takes off Hawaii 5-0, that's not Gary Cocola's fault. That was a MeTV decision in Chicago, right?
Send your
Same
emails
thing.
to MeTV.
Yeah. All right.
Unfortunately.
Another call coming in. Kevin, you're on the air with Kevin. You're Kevin.
Yes. Let's say I got a station. I rent a station from him, and I have a 5-minute commercial. I run that 5-minute commercial 10 times. That's an hour. What happens to the rest of my airtime? The rest of the 23 hours in a day?
That's a good question.
Well, ideally, if you're just running a 5-minute commercial and you're looping it, I don't think you're going to have a lot of people watching because the content isn't going to be exciting.
Yeah.
You got to create a program. You got to create shows and insert your commercials accordingly.
Okay.
So
quickly, I want to run some video of Ronnie Paul. You've got the Ronnie Paul show has been on, what, 7 years, 8 years now? Let's roll that videotape. We'll talk over it a little bit. I've been on the Ronnie Paul show. Maybe you've been on the Ronnie Paul show. I think we've all been on the Ronnie Paul show at one point or another. Let's take it full screen. There's Ronnie Paul right there. Now, he is a regular, and what kind of a show is this?
Ronnie's show is a...
As a matter of fact, I do in my children.
No, there's none like it of its kind. He is on the air on channel 33.2, and we also put him on Comcast 200 from 7 p.m. until 1 a.m.
Saturday.
Every Saturday, correct. The show is done live in the studio. It's a little one-man operation. Ronnie runs the board and everything. He's got 2 cameras there. He runs old movies. He runs I Love Lucy. He'll take calls.
Some of the old television shows.
The old shows that, from back in the 60s, 70s.
50s even.
50s, yeah. He's got a great collection of them. And he's got a great following. People, I've been on the show, and people just call in, as they do here, all the time. He's got a great following.
Right.
His groupies.
Okay, let's bail out of this video and go to the next one. Gil Garcia, of course, has a show on Azteca. Talk to us about what kind of a show
Gil Garcia Padron's show has been on for almost 7 or 8 years as well. Okay. Started off on Azteca. He runs a show that provides local music videos and national music videos. He'll do segments that will have the advertisers on, and usually 4 or 5 minute segments that will have people that are promoting their business. So he's on Mundo Fox as well as Azteca now.
Quickly, where can we watch Gil Garcia if we want to? What
Gil
channel?
Garcia on Comcast 77, 43.2 on Azteca, and also Mundo Fox Comcast 10 on Saturdays from 9 to 10. Which is KGMC 43.1.
And Ronnie Paul can be seen where? What channel?
33.2 from 7 p.m. until 1 a.m. every Saturday night, as well as Comcast 200.
All right, the time is going quickly.
Yes.
How is this the trend now, leasing channels? 30 seconds or less. Is this the trend in broadcasting, is to buy a station and lease it out?
I would say for local broadcasters, it is. For the major networks, they don't seem to want to play this game. And it's unfortunate because they are losing a lot of business, as well as not being able to help the community, because there is no other way for a local person to become a broadcaster other than buying a station.
Right. And I think one last question, and we're going to be out of time. Gary Cocola has been at this game for a long time. Has he talked to you at all about, maybe retiring someday?
Yes.
He's not that old. He's only 45.
Correct. I've just turned 42, I think.
Yeah, and I just
you're older
40.
than me. He is.
He's thinking about it.
He's thinking about it. The companies. There are some stations that are up for sale.
In the Coca-Cola chain?
In the Coca-Cola chain, correct.
Okay.
So he'd like to downsize. He's grown into a very large operation. So it's time for him to relax and enjoy himself at the coast. And
Kevin, the time goes by quick on this show. I wish we had an hour. Maybe we will soon, someday. It's good to see you.
Thank you, John.
I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much.
You're busy, and
yes,
it's good to see you
Thank
this
you.
morning.
Keep up the great job with the show. Everybody does a great job here.
Thank you, Kevin. And tell Gary we said hi. He's a good friend of ours and a good friend of mine, and have a lot to be thankful for as far as Gary Cocola is concerned. We're going to be back tomorrow. Thanks to Kevin Mosesian, the corporate stations manager of Coca-Cola Broadcasting. We'll see you again on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno.